rate of the camera, the lights actually look solid when you look at them in person. They don't actually flicker when you see this car on the street. Now, when you turn on the headlights, they come on in the middle of the outer two running lights, turn on the brights, and they turn on in between the inner two running lights. But my favorite is the turn signals, which appear as 4 light strips below the LED running lights, which is a really cool look.
We aren't done with the front of the Chiron yet. Another interesting item with the headlights is the welcome lights. When you have the key in your pocket and you approach the Chiron, the LEDs turn on, and they don't just turn on, they turn on in sort of a pattern to welcome you to your Bugatti experience.
The welcome lights are also a little hard to see due to the camera frame rate, but basically as you approach the car, they first light up one at a time at half brightness from the outside going into the grille in the center, and then they light up at full brightness going the opposite direction, which is really cool.
Also cool with the headlights, on the inside of the headlights you can see that there is a little duct there. What does that duct do? Well, it cools the brakes. That's right, there is a channel from the headlights to the brakes in this car, and it keeps the brakes cool to allow them to provide maximum stopping power. Another cool channel you'll see in the front in the Chiron is down here in the bumper, and you can tell this channel doesn't really go to anything. It sort of starts in the front and ends right on the inside of the wheel arch. It turns out that's functional. That's actually designed to send air in a very specific place to minimize turbulence on the side of the car, to make it just a little bit slipperier so the car can achieve better acceleration and high speeds. Speaking of brake cooling, the front brakes in this car are 16.5 inches, which is just massive. That's a pretty good wheel size for most cars, and in this car, it's the brakes. So you can see why they would need to be cool. But back to the grille for a minute. Next, I want to discuss the Bugatti emblem. Now, as you can see, the Bugatti emblem is front and center in the grille, and Bugatti says that this is the one part of the car that they made unnecessarily heavy when it didn't have to be. That's because the Bugatti emblem is made of silver. But of course it is. It really sort of drives home the luxury car point. And next up, we move on to the trunk, which is up front. Now, there are a couple of interesting things about the trunk, starting with the trunk lid itself. Take a look at the design of this trunk lid. It sort of looks like the Batman logo. It's a very cool piece when it's opened. It's a very nice look. Now, on top of the trunk lid, you can see this car is finished in this blue carbon finish, and the Bugatti people told me it meets in the center in this perfect 45-degree angle, and they accept nothing less. That's the sort of perfection you demand when you're charging $3 million for a vehicle. And next up, we move on to the trunk itself. Now, opening the trunk is done just like